Okay,
Interrupt you for 1 second.
yes,
I will take the minutes till 9:30 and then hand it off to Jackie because I have to go to an appointment, but
okay,
sorry about that.
bless your heart. Thank you very much, and thank you for being,
Oh, yeah.
people jumping in and willingness to help. So we're gonna start because we've got a busy schedule, we've got 3 citizens concerns, and then we've got some big issues that are pending. The speed ordinance that we need to talk about, and then we need to talk about our subcommittee who's talked about the education using media and contact with the city. So we're gonna have those 2 big issues, and I'm sure there's others coming up, so be mindful that I'm gonna be a taskmaster today of trying to, set some time limits so that we can get things all done. And I know because in return, we've got another committee coming in here at 10:30 or so, so we should get that all done. Good morning. Good morning, everybody who may be on or not.
If there's anybody on yet.
Not yet, but we're gonna start. It's wrong.
I think she is, I've been talking to Jared, so when she's done, she'll probably. Contact.
So happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Hope you guys have, know that we care about you all. And Clint will be taking our minutes today, next time, and with Jackie's assistance at 9:30. And then, what we'll be doing is next month, Jennifer will be up to help. And then we'll continue to rotate until we have somebody who's brave enough to volunteer to take our minutes. Yeah, okay, call to order. This is the Canby Traffic Safety Commission meeting for February 14, 2024, starting at approximately 8:30. My name is Bob Canberra, chairperson for the Traffic Safety Commission.
I'm Deanna Balcar, Vice Chairperson.
Spencer Pollock, Canby Public Works.
Gary Bryant, member of the committee. Clint Coleman, traffic safety member.
Jackie Jones, a member, commission.
Eric Van Zandt, a member. Steve Turner, citizen.
Penny Kistner, citizen.
Ray Lally, citizen.
And this is my son, Kai, who's visiting with us just for a little while.
Okay.
Until his provider comes. Thank you all. I don't believe we have anybody online yet. We will in a little while. Do I have a motion has everybody had a chance? Everyone, let me rephrase. Everyone had a copy of the minutes sent to you for the last meeting?
Remember seeing, it came out, I did it really early.
Did it like 15 days.
Bless her heart, she got it out really quick. So I have no excuse in not knowing about the action items, So is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I have a motion. Oh, Gary. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
Clint, no second.
Oh, discussion? Motion has been brought up by Garrett and Clint to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Approved. Okay.
Welcome.
Sit anymore?
Yeah. Self-government. Clint, should I run a attendance sheet?
Sure, that'd be fun.
Okay.
Citizens of the morning.
Email. Phone. I'm gonna pass this around if you could. Oh, you need a pen probably.
I got one.
Thank you. All right, folks, we got a very big agenda, so what I'm gonna do is let you know that, Steve, you're gonna be up first because you were here before.
Okay.
And you've got 15 minutes. for our total 15 minutes for our whole discussion on this issue. Then we have two other citizens here, Brian and Penny, and we're gonna keep that down to 10 minutes, their presentation as you, our format is anytime you first come to this, Traffic Safety Commission, we'll listen to the concern and we'll understand the concern, then we'll put it on the agenda for the second month after all of you get a chance to at least visit the site and think about what we're talking about instead of we shoot from the hip, okay? All right, and then of course, all citizens are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, okay? Because there's some interesting stuff always on this committee. So moving on, Steve. You want to give us a 1 minute highlight about your concern, and then we'll.
Okay, well, I came to the committee regarding South Pine Street between 13th and 10th, I guess it is.
Mhm.
Because it's like a 3-block long, just go time. And there's no speed limit signs. They used to be painted on the street. That got nixed long ago. And so it's just a place where people just fly at night. I mean, I've seen people going 45 on that, down that stretch. It's been a concern for a long time. We've been here in town for 26 years. Kids used to play roller hockey in that street, not anymore. That doesn't happen. There's a few kids in the neighborhood now, but it's kind of, the neighborhood's kind of aged out a little bit. And there's a couple of alleyways that enter, you know, between the two neighborhoods onto that street. Back in the day, there was a kid that whooped through on his bike and got whacked. And bounced back fine. But so it's just been something that's been on my mind. I brought it to the commission and, you know, presented it last month. You guys have done some data work on it. I just saw a brief there. I haven't looked at it though.
Okay,
And so that's it. It was just, you know, an area of concern, trying to slow people down.
and so, thanks to Spencer, we did put up the data camera. And we collected the data between, let's see, it was December 18th until December 31st. So a good run of 13 days gave us a good sample of the traffic flow between the going both northbound, that is toward Township, and the other way was southbound toward 13th Street. I don't know. Everybody received a copy of it, but I'll just go over the highlights, okay? For everybody's knowledge. As you can see, we're starting with northbound. There is, we list all the speeds and how many cars are flowing through. I'm gonna start with the higher end of the thing, which is about 10 miles over the speed limit.
Right.
Which if you look at it, there is about 17 vehicles were going over 35 at 10 miles over the speed limit over a span of 13 days, which comes out to about 1 vehicle a day at that range. But then you look at further, you have speeds of going 11 to 15 miles over the speed limit. You have another 1 car per day or so, and then there's cars going 40 to 45 miles, and then cars over going 46 to 57. The total isn't that much, but it is concerning. Now, what is significant is the southbound traffic, the traffic going toward 99. And if you look at those numbers, you have cars that going 6 to 10 miles over. There were 19 vehicles over that, and there are 3 speeding over the limit at that 9 to 10 miles, and then at 36 to 40, there's about 14 vehicles. And 41 to 45, there's about another vehicle. In total, when you look at the totality of this numbers, they're not, outrageous, but they do accumulate and become a problem. I'll pass this around. You can see that northbound over a 3-day span, I actually marked down, as you know, if you roll down, which I plotted out the times, which is fairly consistent with the speed. You can see that it's basically a lot around leaving time and sometime in the later morning on the northbound, and on the southbound, it follows the same kind of trend. So it's not our busiest street in town, okay? But there's data to show that there's a problem here. But it's a typical problem, to tell you the truth, that we have within the city. It's hard for a police officer to sit around to catch these, few drivers, as opposed to if we had here's my pitch. My bias, if you had a camera enforced system, you could kind of mediate this kind of problem a lot easier. Our police officers currently give out hundreds of tickets every month for speeding in this city. So they are doing their job. And this data will be shared with Officer Miller. He's not here today because he's on family medical for this, unfortunately for this meeting. But I will sit down and talk to him, that hopefully maybe he can spend some time and the others enforcement officers and target these times so that we can kind of better mediate this problem here, okay? So that's what the speed data shows, that there are speeders. I mean, the frequency of the speeding isn't as great as some other areas in town. But I'm not trying to minimize the problem. It's just the numbers speak for themselves.
It's okay. I think it's good data. I like it. I think it's great. But you have to understand that was during, I think, Christmas break.
Yes.
Kids were out of
Yeah.
school, right? So when the kids are in school, I mean, people generally are a little more cautious and slow down, but parents want to get them there, get them, they're go. So it'd be interesting if it's a continual thing. Yeah, to do another shot during a regular,
Sure.
but I know that's a cost and
Yeah.
doesn't need to happen. We have some data. I think it's great. Thank you for doing that.
But it does highlight one of the issues that we've got to look at, this now has become a pass-through street. Okay? Spencer, would you think so? I mean,
I would say that if I lived anywhere kind of in that southeast area, Pine would be one of the streets that I would use as my normal mode of travel if I was trying to get from one side to the other, because as we all know, turning left on Township onto ID is not, depending on what time of day, is not the best choice. And if you're going to take Redwood, then you're driving in front of a school. You got school zones there. Not that that's a bad thing to drive through a school zone, but it's just everyone, I think knows that it's a school zone. So
Fines are higher.
I think that Pine has kind of turned into a little bit of a de facto cut through,
Yes.
or the main travel for most people in these neighborhoods, as well as a few people that live in town or have grown up in town that may know a few shortcuts through
Yeah.
town.
And I
Not
think
that
right now
many.
with all the construction on 99, you're seeing a lot of people finding alternate routes.
Yes.
They'll come up 13th and hook down Pine to get to where they want to get.
the other significant thing is that if you look at the traffic, the truck flow, there is an average of northbound on the street, there is 73 trucks we're going through during this period of time. That's an average of 5.6 trucks a day going there. But southbound, which is toward 13th Street, there were 126 trucks over the 13 days.
Yeah, what do
An
you qualify,
average.
what do you qualify as a truck?
That, I'm not sure what, the device picks up for a truck compared to a car, compared to,
Right.
so it
Could
could
be a
be,
pickup with a trailer.
it could be somebody with a box trailer, it could be,
It would be a little
an
bit-
Amazon, van,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
that could register, cause I think it's just
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of going off of the size.
Well, I think, yeah.
In the front size, you know what I mean? So that varies, but I'm just, what's significant is if you have a smaller truck, it's not gonna pick you up as a car probably.
Yeah,
If you get-
It could be
Oh,
a
yes,
truck.
right.
Yes,
But
and
as I mentioned with the initiation of Kenby Utility there.
yeah, that's
they-
what I was looking.
Every single day I'm seeing them come, but you know, it is what it is.
Have you
Yeah.
been to their, have you been to their board meetings to make that complaint?
Nope,
So I mean,
have you?
Complain about other things, maybe utility at
But
the
it-
board meetings?
there's just a significant number more. That means, you know, it averages 9.6 as opposed to 5 point something. So I mean, you know, you got at least 4 or 5 more trucks going, and in all likelihood, they're going through the busy part of the days. Not probably late at night. So that adds to the flow in a neighborhood street of the type of congestion that there is. Now, several thoughts.
Is there any areas along that thoroughfare that would warrant crosswalks?
I
Yeah.
don't. 10th at that intersection, with it being an intersection, it is a crosswalk. As far as any other crosswalks through there, to warrant a mid-block crossing, there needs to be a true pedestrian facility. And yes, there are the paths going from, you know, this neighborhood over here off of 11th Loop, and I think it's 12th Loop that does the same thing. But there's not a corresponding crosswalk across the other side.
Do you think that street could benefit from striping?
The only striping that it could possibly get would be a center skip line.
You know,
And that's not going to really do anything, I don't think, for, if anything, it would probably just increase
and it
the
would,
speed.
it also, anytime we add a crosswalk in an area, that shouldn't help with the speed
No,
in a sense, because it does increase the probability that somebody could get hit crossing a street in a speed. If you're trying to use that to mitigate speed.
Right.
We should deal with the speed, you know, instead of
Then
increasing.
my last thought is, does that thoroughfare have adequate signage?
None.
I was gonna say, I did go drive it in most last month, and I did see a couple of places where we could add some speed signs, especially on the northbound, just because there are the streetlights there, and
Right.
so that's an easy, quick fix for me to, I can throw a speed sign up on a streetlight, no problem. When it gets to, on the other side, it gets a little trickier, because everyone wants the sign, but nobody wants it in their yard.
Right,
So
that's why they must have painted it originally.
I'm assuming so. So adding some signs to there for 25 miles an hour, I think, especially for anyone going northbound, is gonna be extremely easy. Putting anything for the southbound side, I think that there are signs further up when you first come into the neighborhood,
Yeah,
Granted-
curves and.
granted
slows
it
as
is-
they go.
a ways away, but you haven't left that speed zone, so we can look at adding another sign. But like I'm always saying is that most people don't actually pay attention to the signs once they're up. So, but I will definitely look to see if we can add another sign, because I think it could be justified from 10th to 13th, that is another speed sign.
I have
Steve, if you or you have suggestions as to where that sign could go, we welcome, I'm sure Spencer will gladly look, especially if they're, southbound.
Yeah, it's the only thing I saw is with the streetlights on, on the whatever east side. And it's like, okay, you can put a sign on that.
Yep.
And then I was looking at the other side and it's like, what do you do? What do you do there?
Yeah, I mean, if there's a neighborhood or some fencing area that, we could put a sign near some fencing area.
So can you go just past Tents northbound on that?
Oh, northbound or
Yeah,
southbound?
northbound. Yeah, northbound. Yeah, so where's the first sign northbound? It's right there. It's getting blocked by that big old tree. So it's like, we're right there. So I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of tucked right into the curb, right? Curb stop there.
Yeah, it's in that
Oh.
expression strip.
Yeah,
And so that was what I was looking at on this side right here.
yeah,
Is with that not being grass, because that's always the biggest problem is nobody wants to mow around the sign.
right.
But with that expression strip,
Yeah,
it would be pretty easy for me to put one
perfect.
right here.
Yeah.
Once
I mean, that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I have
Good.
a question for, sir.
Mhm.
Since that was done, the speed data was done during Christmas vacation, I understand the difference, because I live in that southwest area, that it does make a difference in the
Yes.
traffic pattern. Can we do another study to compare, or is that too much? Do
We can, I don't know that we would do
you think we're getting
a
better
full 2 weeks one, but we could throw it up for another week and just, if you guys wanted to
to know?
Be
do a
interesting.
comparison.
It'd be interesting to see,
Because I
but
think
that's
there's
a
a much
cost that
difference.
I don't know, is that a cost you want to incur right now? So there's probably bigger issues sitting around here right now.
As a chairperson, I gotta be the bad guy.
Mhm.
In the sense that to warn you, Steve, that we have other areas that we may be needing to do speed studies on. So that becomes, ranking order, to try to address everybody's concerns in a timely manner.
Yeah.
I just had to
Understood.
advocate.
Yeah, no, I appreciate everything that, the committee's done so far, and if we can get a speed sign that way and at least one midway going the other way. What else can you do,
We
right?
can get some speed signs up.
There's one other suggestion that I think we give to everyone. The Canby, Police Department does have a flashing speed wagon. Okay, and you can, as a citizen, request it. There's a form online
Okay,
that you just fill it out and they will deliver that speed wagon and put it on the area, especially if you highlight the fact that, the southbound traffic is where the target should be.
okay,
And like I said, we will also share the speed data with the police departments
Right,
and encourage them to kind of look at the data, especially the way we format it so that it can show the times so that they can better target their efforts.
Yeah.
Yes.
So on any of these meetings, I mean, what other options besides signs do you have? Can you put speed bumps? I mean, is there other things you can do? I mean, what's best practice?
Well,
Mhm.
the city has sort of decided that they're not going to invest in speed bumps anymore, so that does kind of eliminate one of our options. And I'm being very strict, correct. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't change its policy. But, we had a grand experiment in putting speed humps on, 13th Street. No, Birch.
yeah. no, it's-
And they presently have them. But the reaction from the community, including emergency vehicles, was not favorable. And even the neighbors, the most difficult thing was the neighborhood rejected them. So although people in the neighborhood wanted them, when it came time to actually do it and we installed it, there was an equal amount of people who rejected it, who lived right next to the speed hump. So I mean, it's difficult when you try to implement things that you get such a reaction.
Yeah,
So I suspect if there was there was a neighborhood who could get a 70 to 80% of the neighbors were in favor of the speed hump, maybe the city would be gracious to look at it, but I don't think Spencer,
I don't think that the council, that this is something that they've really, I can't speak for any of them. But the conversations that I have had in the past is that they're not completely opposed to ever hearing about them again, but it's not something that they are going to look at as their go-to, because, like Bob said, it's one of the main driving people that got the speed bumps put in on Birch shortly thereafter moved out of town. And so
Tar and feather.
it was one of those things that.
Got a legacy.
Yeah.
Just because one person wants it, that doesn't mean that's for how the investment for what it takes to remove and everything else.
And they're noisy.
Yeah, well, we've got a similar, I'm gonna raise an issue on another street, but. I mean, I think we could get buy-in and I could bring more people to this meeting. The ones that would be in favor of it, of course, the ones that aren't gonna be in favor of it is private speeders on our street, so.
So what about, the idea of like, if you're out on 13th, how many years ago you put in those little pseudo. Whatever you wanna call, it, you know, the center block
Yes.
things with fish in it
Yeah.
and all that, what about a pseudo roundabout midway? So it forces people to slow down and but I don't know if the street's wide enough.
The street's not wide enough, and so there'd have to be some houses that gave up pretty much their front yard, and then I think it would get into an issue with setbacks for where the house is, and so
Yeah, okay,
there's,
just a thought.
Yep.
Let it go, my time's up.
yes,
Thank you.
I hope, Steve, you're always welcome to come back. We're always willing to entertain, and I don't want to be a
No, it's good, it's
damper.
all good.
Okay, so what I heard is we're gonna attempt to, we'll get the signage.
Yep.
If you have suggestions, we're gonna do it. We're gonna share the speed data with the police department so that they can target this effort. And on top of that, we're gonna, ask you to try to get the,
Yeah,
Digital
like,
speed.
you know, if I'm like, all right, this is continuing.
yes, come back.
I'll contact the police department, make the request,
Yes.
all right?
please do. Thank you very much for
Thanks
spending your time.
Appreciate it. All right.
and also, as far as, Steve, real quick, as far as getting more data on there, it's kind of up to the group for when it would be, but I would also be curious as to what the traffic
Yeah.
difference is.
Yeah.
So it may not be this month or next month.
Yeah.
It could be sometime before school's out or once school goes back
Right.
in, just to compare.
Yeah,
So circle
kind of
back.
keep it on your radar.
Yep.
So.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
All right, next up is Brian.
Good morning. My concern is I live on South Ivy or South First Street. And I'm trying to cross 13th, going to Hope Village. There's a crosswalk there that seems to be beautifully ignored by
Yeah.
by traffic.
It's kind of scary to cross there.
My wife got hit there a couple years ago. Didn't really report it. She got nipped in the heel. I didn't grab her and move out of the way. She would have been seriously injured. The automobile operator said, quote unquote, the sun blinded me. Okay. So I go to Hope Village every day from where I live on 9th and Fir. I try to cross 13th. I do it in the morning or late in the afternoon. It's difficult to cross to have anybody yield. My question is whether to put a stop sign there, if that's feasible, or put some signs that say crosswalk ahead. Or if you really wanted to spend some money, put a blinking light like they have here on Territorial by Malala River Forest Road or Trail. That a person could activate. You have traffic coming from Hope Village, traffic coming from the new homes that have been built in that area. I see a number of people walking from Hope Village, seniors such as myself, who no longer really fleet of foot. And that's my concern. Yesterday, I went there with a friend of my wife's, and I had to yank her back because I could see the stop. The car approaching that crosswalk wasn't gonna stop. That's how current my concern is. That's basically all I have right now. And one other concern is the gravel trucks on 9090 don't stop for lights. It's ridiculous. I am cautious enough when the light turns green on a cross street to wait a second, especially if I see a gravel truck approaching, knowing that they don't want to shift gears again. But Fur and 13th are my main concern right now.
I'll just second that as well. I've almost been headed that same intersection.
We will have you on the agenda for next month
That's fine.
to really seriously talk about this. We do know, one comment, we do know from our prior traffics, we did a data on 13th, mainly focused further down by the ballpark, it showed that there was significant speeding and traffic on 13th Street. Far significant as far as speeding goes. So I suspect even here, if we were to do it, we would show that there would be people taking off from the four-way stop on Elm to Ivy Street. Now, we do have a speed flasher,
Yeah, I
but
stopped.
it's.
I went there on Monday and it went off quite often. It flashes slow
Yeah.
down. And I said, yeah, well, okay. That could be helpful. You also have, in the other direction, a crosswalk sign, which I thought was good after the four-way stop on Elm. And so I'm thinking signage, and if the stop sign is out of reach, maybe just something to bring to people's mind that there is a crosswalk.
Okay.
There's also a tree. Oh, I don't know where, but it kind of, I'm stepping off,
It's
Yeah.
behind that car.
there. I think kind of blocks the view of the automobiles, but again, it's on private property, so I wouldn't infringe on anybody's property rights. But,
Except that the tree it extends into the public right of way,
And you have to.
it then becomes an
I-
issue.
well, I'm aware of that because
Yes,
code compliance made me cut down my Russian sage on the corner of Ninth and Fur where I live on the corner. And so I cut it down, and I think traffic now flows through that intersection faster than when the sage was there, because they had to slow down to look. But trying to be a good citizen of the Canyon metropolis here, I cut it down, and I'll keep it cut down in the
thank you
future.
very much.
Especially when they told me they would fine me up to $2,600. That got my encouragement.
So we will come back next month to look at Mr. Lawley's concerns and his request to look at stop signs, adding crossing sign or a crossing light, and tree site, trimming trees up. I need to brief you in advance, but not to stifle the conversation next month, that four-way stops and stop signs cannot be used to regulate speed. Stop signs must be only installed to regulate flow of traffic by national standards. So before you can put a stop sign in, you have to have some fair compatible traffic flow on both
I
sides.
don't jump out and get hit. Let's speed up the process. Okay.
I would send you some flowers.
I said back, actually.
I'm not kidding, I would be really, really upset if you got hurt.
I really appreciate the concern.
Yeah, I really do, I mean, that's true, sir. But that doesn't, I'm not just saying that, that one option, there are other options here that we will seriously look at, and please come back next month, okay?
I will.
Thank you.
Have more
Appreciate it.
right?
Yes. Yes.
His second concern is a concern, you know, that all those gravel trucks flying down 99 and Birch, you know, I mean. That, what he's saying is that they're not following the red light issue, right?
And that's gonna be an ugly accident if someone gets hit by one of those trucks.
Pardon me?
And so then that's gonna be an ugly accident if somebody gets hit by one of those gravel trucks.
Yeah, it won't be it'll be a death. But those kind of, that happens every day. Okay, Penny?
So I live on Holly Street, right by Knightsbridge. I'm about the second house down. I have 3 concerns, actually, major ones. One of them is, because Holly doesn't have a stop sign, there's no stop sign on Holly. There's a stop sign on Knightsbridge. And there's been numerous near misses of people just blowing through the stop sign or just, you know, doing a California stop on Knightsbridge, thinking that Holly stops, which it doesn't, and then like cutting them off, or there's been quite a few near misses. And we had a car parked in the front and the car got hit because somebody just kind of like spread around the corner, it was wet, and they slid right into our car. So we also walk along that, if you go farther down, Wade Park is down there. All of our neighbors, we just walk up to the park, right for 4th of July. That's also a concern, it's very hard to cross there sometimes because people aren't paying attention.
When you're saying this no stop, you're talking about at the end of Knightsbridge, not,
There's a stop sign.
not the left side of Triangle Park, it's also in North Holly. We're talking about.
We sat and studied this intersection a while ago.
Yeah, it's where it curves, yeah. So there is a stop sign there. My thought, I don't know about putting other stop signs on Holly, but my thought would be at least to put a stop, sign on that stop sign that says cross traffic doesn't stop. So that would be like a quick and easy thing to put on there so that people are aware that Holly doesn't stop. Because they'll be sitting there waiting and then they see you come and then they'll take off because they think you're stopping and you're not.
That's a good suggestion.
Well, they gotta pull so far out of the holiday,
Yeah.
well, to see the traffic, you know.
Right.
I'm not too sympathetic to people that go beyond the stop sign and decide to stop in the middle of the lane. But that's a blind spot I know.
Yeah.
With myself.
And a lot of people don't know that they should take the cutoff if they're turning towards 99, they should take that cutoff to do that. But when you take that cutoff, that's also very hard to like kind of crane your neck around to see.
Is that one way in that little cutoff there? Is that?
Yeah.
It is a one way, thank you, because I met a utility guy coming out the wrong way. And he looks at me and I look at him, and I think I'm in the right here, buddy, but, all right.
Yeah.
It's
So, yeah.
usually,
Second concern?
Yeah.
The second concern is the speed on Holly. Since we've lived out here about 26 years. And now they've built houses on Holly on the other side of Territorial. And so now we have more traffic coming through and everybody's trying to rush through to get to Knightsbridge, to go to I-5. And coming home the same way, and so there's a lot of speeding on our street. There's also. Now, there's a stop sign at Wade Park and by the Chase Bank, and then there's one on Territorial. There's nothing in between. So my suggestion would be maybe a stop sign at 10. I would like to see more speed signs because I don't think we have any speed signs, speed limit signs. If we do, there's maybe one, but that's a big, long stretch.
There's a long stretch for.
Yeah, and especially when people pull off of that, Knightsbridge. They don't know, you know, they come off the Knightsbridge, it's just 25, but they don't know Holly is 25 too. You know, I think they probably think it's like 40 because they go really fast.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure there aren't any speed signs between where you turn off Knightsbridge and head north.
Well,
Yeah,
speed data, sir. We haven't done Holly in a long time.
It's been a long time since we've done Holly, so I
And
think.
it's
that-
notorious. I mean,
Yes.
that's my.
It is one of our busiest streets in town.
I was gonna do this vigilante campaign and have a 25 mile an hour, put one up on every telephone pole down Holly and say, you know, this is what. this is
Well, I
what
won't,
we're doing.
okay, we're not gonna discuss the issue, the solutions, okay?
I'd like to get,
The third,
what you were talking about with the speed sign from Canby Police. I'll put a form in to get that too.
terrific, thank you.
My third one is the truck traffic. So it used to be that the truck were routed to Barlow 99 and around. Now it seems like they're routed through our little Holly Street. We had another car got hit because the trucks, they'll pull up, they'll see the residential, they'll back up. And so that they can pull back onto Knightsbridge because they think they're going the wrong way and they don't want to get ticket. So we had one car sideswiped in front of our house. Because they had a truck.
Try that again.
Yeah, I lost you a little bit. So were they coming down Holly Street trying to turn on Knightsbridge, or they were coming on Knightsbridge?
Well, they go both ways. Because somebody designated that as a truck traffic, okay? So they go both ways. So first off, when they're coming down Holly turning on Knightsbridge, that corner isn't really big enough for a truck to pull around. You know, some of these semi trucks are pretty big. And it's not big enough for them to pull around, so usually the person that's sitting at the stop sign has to back up so the truck can get around. Or the truck is sitting there waiting for it to clear, which during rush hour it doesn't clear. And all the traffic's all backed up down Holly.
Okay,
The other thing is when they are coming down Knightsbridge, turning on the Holly, they're going towards either the nursery or Montecito's. They're pulling up down and they see all the houses and people who aren't, you know, the truck drivers that aren't familiar with that area think that they're in a residential and they took a wrong turn somewhere. So they'll back up all the way past Knightsbridge on Holly and then turn onto Knightsbridge to get out of that area before, you know.
oh, so they'll pull up this way,
And then
back down, and
back
then
in.
try to come back down this way.
And so the second house, we're in the second house. We had a car parked out in front. And in the middle of the night, a truck did that. We didn't hear it, but our neighbor did. And his wheels, because he was backing up, took out the whole side of our car. And
Insurance got to be insane with all of these cars getting hit.
yeah, well, it actually was the same car. So we got it fixed first, and then the second time it happened, they just, you know, they just said that the car was totaled, yeah. But, we couldn't do anything because it was in the middle of the night, we didn't, you know,
Yeah,
didn't get the numbers or anything. So I think, you know, that area is getting very built up residential wise. I don't think the trucks should be going through there. I think it should be back to Barlow, you know, to 99, rather than having the trucks come through there.
Well, in defense of Montecito though, does have.
Yeah, they do need and I understand that. I'm talking about, so I'm not talking about like the farm trucks.
Yeah, I know.
I'm talking about the the huge.
That's why I'm
semi
on
trucks.
commission.
Yeah,
I'm sort of the resident trucker defender here, but I will defend them. Believe me, 20 years ago, maybe 30, 25 years ago, I came into Canby as a representative of a trucking company. I got totally lost. I was, this town is goofy here. You come in on
Yeah.
Knightsbridge and then you're residential and all these no parking, like no truck signs. And we had Ewert, he lives just off the bridge.
no,
And people come, they pull into his residential. Yeah, it's a.
yeah,
it's
it's a tangled thing.
we will have more of the discussion next month. believe us, we're gonna talk about the trucks issue because we've attacked that problem with this county about routing trucks but obviously we've got some other issues with structure, that turn right there.
Yeah,
I didn't realize how that's a serious problem with.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just shocked that semi trucks go in reverse on the street.
Oh, yeah.
That just looks like such a terrible idea.
Well, yeah,
I've never
there's a lot of semi trucks that have this, well, big truck, I don't understand. Big trucks that are servicing a lot of the restaurants downtown.
Yeah,
And in turn, they've got to get out.
yeah.
right.
So, and
I don't,
that's a
you know,
problem.
but there's a sign there that says no trucks going towards 99.
Right.
This
So,
coming in Knightsbridge, that is the truck route coming in, that go up
yeah,
Holly to, that is the north.
Yeah, so we'll discuss that. There is some madness here about of how it's done, but we need to make sure that that's safe and if the infrastructure needs to be, that's gonna be a slowish solution, but we need to identify it, especially if that turn there isn't functional for what we're requiring trucks to do.
Spencer, do we have some kind of overlay of the recommended truck routes that we might be able to look at next time?
I'll have to look at TSP if it shows all of the truck routes.
Yeah.
But I think
Even if we have a rough mock-up that we can
I
just.
think that probably,
that's the zoning map, but I don't
Yeah.
know if we have the truck route laid on that. I have to find which ones are designated truck routes.
Would you be willing to take that on?
and the added problem quickly, the added problem is that a lot, which Gary has clearly hammered into my head, is that trucks don't all use the truck GPS systems. They use Google. And Google sends you all over the place.
and I think that's why we have trucks backing up, because Google's sending them that way and they see it's residential.
Yes. That doesn't excuse them.
And the speed on Halls, I'll back on that.
Yeah.
It's notorious in there.
Well, there's no stop sign between, that one on Fourth, I think it's Fourth and Alley and Territorial, so that's just a speed through.
Well, Ivy has one at 10, so they should be able to have something
Yeah,
on Holly.
we could
I'm
do-
sure we have, there's greater flow on, probably a greater flow on Holly because they'd be getting around the stop sign on 10th and Ivy.
And while they're going, what they're doing is, and you changed Birch, I saw how you changed Birch, but what they're doing is they're taking Holly to Knightsbridge just so they can get to the freeway.
Yeah.
And now with all the other houses, they're doing the same thing. So we need some kind of a break, a stop sign to stop the traffic.
Thank you. Next month, please come back.
I will.
All righty.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're a citizen here, but I didn't have you on the schedule, so I'm kind of torn because, can I put you on the schedule for next month?
Yeah.
And you wanna, did you sign?
Joe Clifford,
Joe,
first person to sign into that.
okay. So,
Were you supposed to register to be on the agenda somewhere?
usually people call, contact Maya and Hammond, who is the city's recorder. And she then lets me know and I'll brief you. We do take people walk-ins. I mean, you're a citizen, so you are a priority. It's just that today we've got a heavy agenda issues. And so I'm kind of concerned. But if you want to do a 2-minute, if you want to do a 2-minute presentation about what your issue is, then we'll take it, okay?
Yeah, I can summarize it in 2
Sure.
minutes,
Go ahead.
clear and concise. I live on South Knott Street. There's concern with speed there too. I'd love to see speed bumps there, but it sounds like that could be a battle. But I mean, whatever's best practice to try to slow things down. We have, new kids coming. I'm concerned with one getting hit. I've got a 12-year-old daughter, so she's almost through kind of the risky area. I mean, she'll be driving in 4 years, but
Right through here,
yeah, not.
in between.
Yeah, township,
Okay.
yeah. So we have development coming and she knows about it, there's gonna be 30 more condos
Right
coming
where
in.
your mouse is, that whole green area.
So-
those condos.
So it's gonna be more traffic and I'd like to speed test whatever you're doing for a 2-week
Big
thing.
one, right?
I don't think we've done one for South Mountain.
What
We
did
always
You did one in
We did
township.
one on Locust, but I don't know about.
We
Oh,
did
Township.
okay, okay, we did Locust, but not Knox.
Yeah, but we've got speeders going through there. It'd be nice to have a study to know how much.
Mhm.
It seems like a lot, because I work from home, I see them. So I think it's gonna get worse with the new development, whenever that's gonna happen. I know my neighbors are concerned about it too. I can get some neighbors here because they're concerned.
Well,
Some have had new babies, so they're,
so sir, if you can come back next month,
yeah,
we will talk about it. We're gonna try to get Holly's one.
Looks like Holly's gonna be first on the list for the speed, no guarantee that we would have a full report back by next meeting for Knott Street as well, so that would just be the only thing is that.
Okay.
We'll put-
We probably may not have. the
As long as
report
we
back
can-
At that time.
as long as we can start the process.
Absolutely.
Cause it's not gonna get better. It's probably gonna get worse with more flow and what's coming.
Well,
So-
not in Locust are some of the few streets that go through between Township and Second, and so anyone who's trying to get around 99,
So-
the thoroughfares.
So we'll put, working with Spencer, we'll put Holly on a data collection for first. And then South Knox will be the second data collection with the camera and things so that we can
Yeah.
get some data to find out what's going on. And whether they can get done twice, in 1 month, that's one thing. More than likely, we're more successful with one a month.
Yeah. that's-
Get the
that's
data in
fine.
and they gotta send them to this guy who does the analysis. And he's pretty slow and old. Me, so.
So it sounds like you hear my concern, you'll get me in the queue.
Yes,
Is there any way I can be notified if Knott Street isn't gonna be?
sure. Because you will get, you know what, you're gonna, if you sign that
Yeah.
paper, your email and your phone number, I will be notifying you when the next meeting is, okay?
Yeah,
And then you could always. I'm gonna leave it your responsibility. When you get notice about the meeting, if you wanna email me and say, well, did they do the data?
yeah,
How's that?
yeah. And that
Okay.
way we have some information. Okay,
Okay,
thank you very much.
you're more than welcome. Thank you very much for showing up.
Yeah,
We
no problem.
appreciate citizen involvement.
It's great, thank you.
Okay, folks, I'm gonna move us along real quick. I'm gonna look at the,
I'm just here for conversation.
you're from.
Jamie is here regarding our subcommittee.
Oh,
Yeah.
bless your guys' heart. Thank you very much. That's gonna be, I'm gonna, well, okay, we got a lot of action steps here. That, and when Spencer comes in from, these are the action steps from last time. Okay? Painting crosswalks, I guess, on Township and South Pine intersection.
Once the weather turns.
Bless your heart. Thank you. Painting the curb on South Night Bridge Road, the corner that turn when it turns. Jerry was gonna talk to Matt English about the crosswalk on Township. We're gonna, it's crosswalk on one side, but we wanted to have a
Isn't it by the?
the second cross on the other side, but there's a problem with not having ADA ramp on one side.
Yeah, we don't have an ADA ramp on, whether that be the northeast
But-
corner.
But at least on,
This side has it.
but going across, as you can see, across Pine
On the south side, can I go across?
doesn't have the crosswalk.
Does not have a crosswalk through there.
And,
We saw a kid
and
almost get hit and so it was.
we may have to wait for that development on that side to make the crosswalk on the other side, but at least on one side, we should have a crosswalk.
That was the crosswalk in front of.
Trying to-
Line with the weather.
Trying to work this across this way.
Yes,
It's gonna end up all very similar to, because I have to look to see where this curb return is in comparison. Over on 13th, going into the Tofty subdivision where they've got one of those center islands as well.
Yeah.
Where we had to send pedestrians out and then back in.
well, it's
But
better.
It's part of getting something straight through here, yeah.
We gotta get it striped. That's a heavy kid
It is.
walkway. Okay. When the weather. When the weather, you guys are gonna be busy, man.
Yes.
Reflex, okay. Councilperson Hensley hasn't let me know about when we will have the presentation of the red flex system.
That is on delay.
I know,
That's because it's in the traffic safety committee at the House bill right now.
but I think we should still push to have a presentation before the council, the city council, about the urgency of having this system.
I think they're probably waiting for the legislature to.
You know, I mean, we can provide them with tons of traffic data studies from all these streets in the city that, are having these traffic issues. And not just red flex, but really the speed, the use of cameras to give tickets to some of these characters who are ignoring speed limits.
Yeah, because we're overwhelmed with speeding concerns all over the community, month in, month out. And if there's no consequences, of bad behavior will continue, and
Yeah.
we need to, there's really, in my opinion, there's no legitimate reason to go 10 miles an hour over the speed limit unless you're a law enforcement or emergency personnel. I mean, that should, I don't know how many
Except
can
you-
argue that.
Except you think you're important.
Yeah. So,
Or that you're not gonna hear about it.
watch a commercial for tow trucks, and you see them spinning their wheels, driving through the forest, and, sliding through the here and
Oh,
there.
romantic.
So it inspires everybody to
Driving.
say, that's what I want to do, when I get behind the wheel.
It's like,
You know-
I do that in the country, not in residential.
it just- So I mean, I think there's a mindset that we need to set before the city council about there's a gross problem here, and the police are doing an excellent job. I mean, you look at Officer Miller's report every month, they're giving out 300 something tickets every month. I mean, they're doing their job.
So
But-
what is it we need from the council? Like, are we just trying to get their buy-in in general and it doesn't matter what the specific details of the law are because we need to have their approval, or it's just a concern about raising awareness with them in advance of any legal options?
Clint
Well, I would just,
Coleman led a tremendous effort back, I believe, in 2017 to introduce this system to the city. And he did every show and pony thing possible to present the information to the city. It did not get any traction.
because what it really did was we got permission from ODOT to have them hang their devices on a variety of intersections on 99 to really see if we did in fact have a speeding problem and a red light running problem. And it was overwhelming what a problem there was. But, I think in a lot of communities, the police don't enjoy the popularity that the fire department does. And so they're kind of viewed as the villain if they come up with these intrusive laws. And we're here to solve problems. And if we don't have the support of the city to solve these problems, we're wasting each other's time. And they need to absolutely recognize that this speeding is a terrible problem, and it's a real threat to the safety of our citizens and the livability of Canby. And you start going down the list, you look at a city that doesn't enforce its speed laws, a city that doesn't do anything about graffiti. I mean, to just, if you let these things go, you're gonna be living in a horrible situation.
So I will continue to push for us to, and I'll talk to Tracy, about getting at least some attention before the city council to talk about this issue. To raise their awareness about how serious of a problem it is, and they need to do something about it. Whether that's a long projection out, but it needs to be one of traffic ongoing issues. You know, that we need to get done. Anyway, okay, moving on. Okay, we have two big issues that we want to talk about is, one is the media for education.
Yeah, Jackie and I met with Jamie and we also met with Maya. And we talked to them about what they would recommend for, if we did a Facebook type page for the Canby Traffic Commission. And it was brought up that probably have somebody from the commission, be able to monitor it, like Jackie and I could do it together, but not have it be part of the city. Because we don't wanna make it where, oh, city of Canby's telling us what to do. The other day, I was driving home from picking my husband up at dialysis and we're driving on 13th and bus driver had stopped, let kids cross at Township, well, Valley Farms and Tofty Farms area. And this individual in front of us was in a hurry. And as soon as the last kid got 1 foot on the sidewalk, just took off. The bus driver honked. I stayed where I was. The bus driver waved at me. I thought it was hilarious. I ended up following the car. I ended up catching up to the car because the car was trying to turn into Dutch Brothers. And I caught up to them. And they were waiting while I was going across the street to get gas. They were in such a hurry to get through that bus stop. So I think it'd be nice to do like a training center on like what you do with the bus situation like that.
Kind of like an educational traffic.
Yeah.
Yes,
And a national traffic
that's
task.
what we're hoping. That would be the best thing that
We won't just
we,
make it up.
as this committee, would at least on a regular monthly basis, we would post a new video presentation of an issue, right? And there's a ton of issues.
Yeah, and like even the pedestrian crossing, because what was brought up by Brian this morning is accurate, because the other day I was driving in that intersection. That was weird because there were like 4 people clustered at the intersection. So I slowed down and I went to stop and they're like motioning me to go because they're just talking at the intersection.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, can you please
I
get
saw
away
this.
from the intersection so then you're not causing people to stop, but you're not going. So, okay, what can we do? But I just think it'd be good to have some informational videos, even with like the construction going on. I know on Ivy Street with the construction of them making the southbound go in the median, just showing videos of, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. Because a lot of times you see the flagger sign and you're looking for the flagger to direct you, and they're not using the flaggers, which I think is fine if you know what you're doing.
I think we could do another more PSAs like we did with the Canby Police a couple years ago, with the
Yes.
crosswalk video.
Yes,
And that just made it Canby local, so people pay more attention. This is your own town, your own neighbors.
our motto should be to do our best, right? And providing educational videos is part of that effort to avoid problems. So I applaud you folks.
I think my time on this committee, I've seen this pattern play out. And the sad reality, that I think I've come away with it, it's not until somebody gets killed. That anybody's gonna take then they gotta pay attention to what the heck is going on in our streets and the attitude of drivers. we're lucky to be in a small
That's
community.
everywhere. My dad used to tell me that story. This is why this changes somebody's kid died.
Yes.
That's why that's not passing.
So you guys too are leading an important charge, you know, to solve a problem from this committee. We gotta get that ongoing. Did we receive approval or?
I think Jamie's right here.
Okay.
This is Jamie.
So I think I know almost everybody here, but I'm Jamie Stickle. I'm the Director of Communication, or Director of Economic Development and Communication Specialist. I'm here in my communications role today. So when we had the conversation, you know, Deanna and Jackie kind of expressed the need for doing videos. It could even be putting a picture of this is where construction is, this is where street closure is, best practice videos. And what we discussed was not necessarily having that page be the City of Canby's Traffic Safety Committee, but rather a page, a Facebook page that would, you know, incorporate some of the efforts from the Traffic Safety Committee on a, you know, on a community basis, so that you're not necessarily speaking for the city. You know, with the Facebook pages that we have, a city staff person runs those, and we're pretty tapped. And then they're pretty specific as to what can and cannot be posted. So it seems that the best route would be to have a page that could be, I think we were calling it, you know, Canby traffic tips and tricks or something like that. It's just, it was like not as a necessarily, you have to say that, but just as a title to kind of, as an example. Placeholder. So that then it can be driven by what is discussed here, what best practice videos you guys come across. You know, that it isn't necessarily, you know, City of Canby, but it's supporting those efforts. But the things that I think it can also do is, you know, it can also have your upcoming agendas linked to it. You know, it can link to the city's Facebook page, or sorry, city's website where the agendas are. And it can say, you know, do you have a traffic concern in your area? Here's how to get it on the agenda for the next traffic safety committee. Like for instance, you know, I've worked for the city now for almost 12 years. I didn't know that someone should go to Maya to get put onto the agenda or put onto the list. I think that's great. How many people go, oh,
Like they were 17 today.
Yeah.
Well, I told him at a commission meeting, I'm like, just come to the meeting.
Yeah,
I told him to come to the meeting. I didn't tell me.
And most times we can accept them, you know, yeah, today it's just kind of.
I feel like you have, that this group has a lot of content, and the fact that you have people who are willing to put in the time to oversee this page, it seems like it can be a good kind of in between, where it's not just Jackie's personal Facebook page posting here or there, or try, you know, but rather that a concerted effort talking about what you guys want to post and not post, but isn't necessarily a city page, which then will give you more freedom to be able to post, to be able to reply. For instance, the City of Canby doesn't post in Canby now, which is how a lot of people get their information.
So now, I just want to understand fully, should we, once we get you guys are gonna be getting together a group of lists of, you know, things that targets that you guys want to advertise about.
Yeah, Jackie and I are actually gonna meet on Monday next week.
Great. And so you're gonna come to are you gonna decide yourselves, or are you gonna come to the commission and run that, whatever you're gonna post
Like
through us?
a list going and bring it to you guys to see what.
Yeah, and then start from there.
Okay, and do you also want them to show you the thing in advance?
I mean, I'm happy to weigh in for sure.
Up to you.
Jack,
I mean, I just don't want
I'll take any opportunity to go. But I'm happy to weigh in. But I think one of my only pieces of advice would be that with I know it's a very packed agenda, but it could be just an item on your agenda that says, you know, items for Facebook, or items for social media. If there's anything in particular where someone's like, hey, this is something that we put a new, you know, speed limit sign in on Holly. Let's take a picture of that. That's something that's important. And maybe it wasn't necessarily on, you know, your radars who's going to be managing the page, but as an item that pulls from the agenda and as a reminder for the rest of it.
You're not requiring, see, we're a commission of the city, so anything we do, I always like to make sure that we have the blessing of the city to
We're
kind
giving
of
them
do.
blessing to do it on our own.
Yeah.
I think that's the key
Yeah.
point, is that it's on their own, so as far as the
It's not-
committee voting on something to go up, I don't know if that
Correct.
is allowed, because at that point, then it's an
Sanctions.
endorsed
Yeah.
sanction
So we
thing,
can
whereas
share
if
that.
it's just. If it's just an informational page where, hey, these were kind of some of the things that was discussed at the city's traffic safety committee. This is what they are working on. If you're presenting it in that light, it's okay, instead of this is what.
It's kind of like the Friends of the Dog Park.
Yeah, and we're the Friends of the Canby, Friends of Canby Area Parks is another example. So, the person that
Friends
manages.
with Candy area drivers.
Well, yeah, yeah.
It'd be kind of-
Well, but that's, I mean,
True.
it sounds kind of silly, but really that's what you're trying to accomplish is best practices for people who are driving in this area, a way to push information about items that are up for that. That Canby Area Parks page, it is managed by one of the members of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. And so it has things about, you know, eco park cleanup or Wake Park cleanup, or here, let's meet up and discuss this. Some of those things have, they venture into city realm, but it's never on behalf of the city, you know, it's not the words like we or our or, you know, it's here is some best practices. If you're interested in, you know, reducing speeding in your neighborhood, head to the, you know, get your name on the list for the next traffic safety committee with the city of Canby and that process.
So since driving engagement to a specific page is kind of difficult, what do you guys think about having like a shared account, like login that you use as the, you know, equivalent of Canby friend, you know, Friends of Canby drivers, something along those lines, that is just like you are a person posting from that group to things like Canby Now or on Nextdoor or something, where we're driving engagement as a poster saying, here's some information. It doesn't have to be I'm Jackie on Yana, it can just be like, you log, you know, you've got a shared account and you guys use it to put it up.
I think that's kind of what we were trying to do.
That is what you're
Yeah.
doing. So you're not trying to create a specific Facebook page
Yeah.
that you're trying to drive people
We
to
are.
as much as
Yeah.
posting on the.
But we're both, like, Jackie is in charge of a Southwest Neighborhood Association
Yeah,
page.
yeah.
I do one for Cedar Ridge, but when I do it for our homeowners association, I'm an administrator, it doesn't say, oh, Deanna Ball is telling us to do this
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something. So, I make it aware for the neighbors in our neighborhood of things going on. And like when the, ice storm hit, I posted about the garbage pickup being delayed. So it just kind of informing the people of the community of what's going on.
There's no desire to be like a group that's gonna be this
Yeah.
weird competition, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't want to become like, I have to be a babysitter. I don't wanna have to. Be.
Moderate.
Moderate,
Yeah.
First.
It could get abused though. Somebody on this, watching the progress of this would say, there's a speed trap down at such and such and forewarn motorists.
Well, you
Maybe
can
it'll
also
slow them
make it-
down too. It
You
could
can, you
be.
can also make, you know, prior approval for people to post. So
Yeah.
there's
That-
ways to mitigate.
That would be probably wise so that you can monitor what the posts
Oh,
go
yeah, no, I
on.
have too many pages.
Well, I'm gonna let you guys, please proceed.
Mhm.
This is fantastic. And we'll have you on the agenda, you know, just to give us an update about how you're doing and to kick my butt so I go look at this posting so I can track what's going on. Thank you. Thank you, Jamie, for
I was
coming.
gonna stay for the rest of the
Yes,
meeting, if that's
please.
okay.
Okay, the next big issue, I'm trying to move us along real rapidly, is, remember, we were gonna talk about the criteria for the lowering speed, a lowered speed ordinance for a specific area. This is the the development down by past the
Darcy
post office.
Estates.
Darcy, okay, Darcy.
No,
So- I am open for discussion. What we need to do, according to my impression about our conversation, is they were requesting that the speed limit within this development be lowered to 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Okay? And in order for us to do that, there's a criteria. You can do it, but you have to have a very specific criteria as to why this neighborhood makes it. Now, why? The why is that you've just listened to all of the people's concerns about speed. We opened this floodgate. Every neighborhood is gonna want a lower speed limit to 20. And then it loses its effect. When you have too much, it doesn't work. So, any case, we were told to qualify for this ordinance lowering, because the speed limit right now statewide in residential is 25, so you're asking for an exception to the rule. We have to have very specific criteria, what would this neighborhood qualify? And what would other neighborhoods who want to apply for that same thing? In all fairness, they gotta have very specific criteria. So let's have a discussion about criteria. And you're,
I'm up
you want to
for-
say something?
No, I was just curious, as just trying to come up with. You know, this is a citizens committee, you guys are the ones kind of advising on what the different things would be, but they need to be something that's. A very specific metric, it needs to not be
Yes.
subjective, because dealing with a
Yes.
lot of criterias for other things. As far as where crosswalks goes or something, the more specific we can get, the nicer it is.
Yes.
So that it's not so open to where you can bend every
Yes.
criteria to get what you want. So I think at one point in time, Jerry had mentioned that at this particular neighborhood, all of the curb and sidewalk are mountable curb, which that is, to me, a good criteria for being in favor of this, is that there's not the curb barrier for a vehicle to make it up onto the sidewalk to hit somebody. So lowering the speed to make sure that, I think, is a good specific criteria going towards this, and that would be the type of criteria that I would like to see moving forward.
So this month, what we're gonna do is brainstorm, okay? So throw out any of your thoughts, we're gonna list them down, and next month we'll have a more thorough discussion. I'm shooting for 10 and coming up, because there's a committee coming in at Bill.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I'm being really bossy.
Can I just
I've always been
quickly-
bossy.
Go
It's kind of-
To keep us on track.
Okay,
Good.
so
So
I hear,
I was gonna say that I think we should have multiple criteria. If you
Yes.
meet so many of this list, then you can be
yes, so
granted this. So besides the mountable curb, I think road width should be considered when we have narrow roads that people can't park on either side of the street, but maybe they do anyways. So road width might be a consideration. Proximity to a park or school, or possibly a roundabout
I think there's right.
park, roundabout,
or school.
school.
So if you're kind of like in an area that's gonna have lots of kids, the roundabout is just kind of, people are already weird around there, but I don't know if we really want to do that. I put a big question mark next to that one,
Okay.
but for some reason I wrote down.
So we're just brainstorming.
And density might be a concern, a criteria as well.
What?
Density, so this is an extremely dense
Oh, dense, I'm
population
sorry.
of homes.
Hearing aids problem, you know,
No, it's okay.
density.
I have a bit of a high voice and sometimes I speak too fast. But with the density there, that's part of the problem. All of those driveways are full all the way down to that rollable curb. You know, they don't have yards really in between, and there's just, you know, a lot of cars, kids starting around.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any,
Yeah, so the example, a concern that I have is like with the speed bumps on Birch. One resident got him and then left. So
Yes.
it's I don't wanna say majority rules, but you know, if there's a percentage of the
Affected homeowners
Affected
who are
homes
concerned.
that buy off on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that to be the only criteria, but if we have if you meet so many of them, that's a great one.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then the other one would be, with that, what's gonna happen with the other neighborhoods? What's our anticipated effect on surrounding neighborhoods? Because as we see right here, we have a problem of, example being 9090 and South End Road. What's the limit of, or what's the cost before someone does something, right? Well, 99 South End Road, we've had people lose their lives there. We have accidents there every hour. And yet there's still no light there. So if we're gonna have one area affected, we're gonna have more areas affected. So we need to start looking at how this is going to impact.
Okay.
99 though, that's 99 though, that's state highway, it is.
But that's just,
Yeah.
but that's just an example of
Okay, so,
the human life
Oh,
cost.
certainly, yeah, that's.
okay, so any other, no discussion yet on what, good or bad, just thoughts. I've got 6 criteria so far. And I'll review them in a minute.
We had a representative of the HOA, she was one that originally came in here. She's the one that we should probably talk to, see if they can get a petition in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. But I think like what Todd is trying to do is just like, we're specifically taking ideas from the Darcy estates, like the mountable curbs, that's obviously straight out of Darcy. The fact that there's parks nearby, that's straight out of the Darcy estate homes. But what if we were to look at, let's look at the new,
Look at South Pine, this guy's
South Pine.
concerned about the traffic speeding through there, and he now wants it to be 20. Does he fit any reasonable criteria for making that neighborhood like Darcy's? I mean, so.
what about, Redwood Landing 1 off of North Redwood, you know, it's kind of its own contained subdivision at the moment. Say everyone's complaining about what criteria would need to be met here.
Well, they wouldn't meet any of the criteria that we laid out here. They were
Okay.
built more recently, so they're.
So any other criteria you guys want to give me?
Thank you.
Okay, and we can add as we choose. Let me give you the 6 that I wrote down and you correct me if I, heard wrong or whatever. One was mountable curves, road width, proximity to a park, roundabout, or a school, density, community agreement, which then leads it to HORA, and effects on surrounding neighborhoods. Okay?
Yeah, and surrounding neighborhoods might be like, effect on truck routes or major roads.
Yeah, could be
specifically
anything
Would be a
that-
concern.
Well, Eric has a good point that there should be some discussion about it, I mean, if you did it here, how is it gonna impact other people around?
And I think another, point to be made is that this is only allowable for streets that are classified as local residential. So territorial would not qualify because it is not
My
classified.
street's not gonna qualify.
Your street is unfortunately not going to qualify because it is not,
It's an arterial street.
it's an arterial,
Yeah.
so that I think is
So-
another.
That's an
Point.
excellent point.
So question about that. How is, because the state law says, doesn't interpret that, it just says we can.
It does actually say for local residential.
Okay, that's what I was,
Okay, now I would like to highlight density. Because this particular neighborhood, if you look at it, it's not only dense, but it is almost all townhouse attached. So by the structure of it, it creates added density, more than just an apartment building. It brings in the whole, car structure. So you can see how,
I mean, they are full houses on small lots.
Yes.
In a small area.
and but a large number of them are attached too.
Feels like a graduate.
So they've got a high density is really. Okay. So how would you like to proceed? Would you guys like to think about these 8 criteria? And discuss them, because they're gonna have more detail to
We
it.
are gonna need some more.
You know, I mean, I will send you an email with this 8 criteria. And then you guys can kind of,
What I.
yes,
Can I make a suggestion?
I won't post it on, I'm not gonna post it on Facebook.
No, no. Here is my suggestion, it's, you guys can shoot me down for it, but you've got your 6 that you've already got, I think. Homework for all the committee members is that they have to bring one more next week. And I'm excused from it because I'm not a committee member.
I.
No, we won't excuse you, I'm sorry, man, the person who speaks is just
Okay.
as much responsible.
What if our action item is to think about what is the minimum number of criteria we think should be met in order to make the recommendation? We've got the list of 6.
That is, that functional is good, I don't know, but I don't know if we wanna put that kind of, well, okay. I'm looking for just legitimate criteria.
Right.
And I am a little skeptical if we start to say, if you meet 3 out of 7. Or, I mean, why don't we look at the criteria first and say,
I would agree.
and maybe get some experience with the criteria before you start to shorten that list. I mean, or, well, like I said, first, let's get the criteria, and then we can see how much you guys are willing to tolerate.
Yeah, because like you're saying, is if we have come up with a list of 15 different items,
That may be-
that's gonna be a little hard to say, okay, you have to meet 12 or 10 of these 15, or if you only have to meet 5 of the 15, I think that's gonna be something that, and ultimately, it's off of a recommendation from this would ultimately end up having to go to council and be adopted.
And
so-
maybe the 8 that you have here are so powerful that they have to meet all 8.
Well, but
I'm just saying, I'm not gonna argue that right now, I'm just saying, it's something to think about they're not. Like I said, 15, if you got criteria that says all the houses have to be gray. Okay, maybe that's not as,
Yeah.
But density may be something that is high on the list that everybody should have, you're not gonna do this in a not a dense area. What I mean, so I
I
think,
would think we would want our list to be short, because there's really only so many things we would even want to consider in the first place,
well,
right?
then, I'm just saying, this is a list, and we can shorten this list. Or we can expand it depending upon what you guys want. So why don't I give you, like everything else in this world with I help run, is I give you some time to think. Okay, I'll email it out.
Honing in on reducing the speed limit. That's the ultimate goal.
That's the ultimate goal.
Okay, so we have to point out the safety factors, we have to point out the reasonable.
And to be able to explain it for why we're doing it
Right.
somewhere else. So we may start off with the list of 15. I think that that's a little excessive.
Yeah.
I was just throwing that number out there, but say we come up with 15 different things. Some of them are probably gonna be close to a similar. So maybe they kind of get combined into one.
Yeah, the community involvement in HOA, I'd say, are probably.
Kind of the same
That's right.
thing. So, I would say, let's start big and then start. Which ones are actually the ones that.
Right.
Actually are going to need something.
And so if we can if we come up with 6 that are really important. Then you have to meet all 6. You know what I mean? Or if we come up with 15, then maybe these are 6 mandatories and these are 2
Extra
optional,
credits.
extra credit or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, but is that a good plan, folks?
Yes.
I think about Peacock Lane, think about them, if you can't have a home in Peacock Lane unless you decorate it for Christmas. I mean, we're not asking anybody to do this here, but it's a
Yeah.
reasonable argument to say, well,
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
people made this happen.
Okay,
So I-
which may tie into that community agreement issue, right? You know, I mean, the HRO can, if you don't have an HRO, then you're gonna have to have another way to get community agreement. Okay, all right, thank you. That was really productive and a good job. So we're at 10 o'clock, folks. Do you guys have any other really important issues that, no? Brianne, do you have?
She was just here for the fun.
Nope, I do not. I'm just here for support, so I'm all good over here.
Okay,
You're lucky, I was gonna drag you into this criteria building thing, but.
Can I just make a quick motion?
I am, if you guys want to pick my brain, I'm happy to do that too. We have to write a lot of criteria for planning, so
join us next month for that discussion. I will
I'll be
make
here.
email of the ones that we've already talked about.
I just wanted to bring up that one guy that came in from Southburg, the 13th, about the crosswalk situation. If you guys want to take a quick drive by or go walking, because, I mean, I've almost been hit there, because I used to walk on my lunch hour. And people do not stop.
Yeah.
I mean,
And the sun does get in your eyes too, if you're driving, it is a certain point of day where it is hard to see.
I hope, what you say?
It's for 13.
yeah, my wife and I do long walks throughout this community. And boy, some of the drivers, I wear my red jacket and it almost is like I'm over there challenging you.
Yeah, I'm like in the house.
Move over, move over or they just do not stop,
Oh, I have bright yellow, because I got a little kid, so I got a bright yellow. green
I just
light.
figure I'm old enough already, if you tell me that I've had a great life, so it's not so bad.
I keep on thinking like vehicle times.
All right.
Do the existing crosswalks have reflective paint?
I'm telling you, Burr is terrible right there.
I'm trying to think on, that one, I believe was thermoplastic, not paint. So yes, they are supposed to, basically all it is little tiny glass beads that go in with the paint. They wear off very quickly and painting over it kind of paints over the existing and then you put new ones on. They last for so long. So there really is not a great system product out there to maintain that.
Okay, any other concerns? I'm trying to hit the 10 o'clock. there.
I just wanted to real quick give an update for something that I walked into this morning. Rhonda got this email for paving project for 99E starting tomorrow.
Whoa,
Notice that.
Yeah, great notice. Starting tomorrow until March 5th. All day, there will be no access to 99E from Elm Street.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, they're gonna regret that detour down, down Second. They're detouring people down Second. That road is not wide enough for a full-size truck. As far as I need to stop.
Like a planning from that?
I mean, not that I love them coming up there, but at least it's just a smidge better.
So I just wanted, when I first saw the email, I thought that they were closing 99E. Like completely closing 99E during that and detouring everybody around. And so this morning I had a small breakdown with everybody else.
Right.
But no, so what this is strictly just anyone coming on Elm trying to get to 99, you won't have any access. To get onto 99 from Elm, you will have to detour to Grant Street. So,
Yeah, I thought it was gonna start on the 16th, since starting the day early.
they are saying that it's starting on the 15th.
Yeah, I
So-
Do any of us, do you ever have contact with the police, forgetting his name right now, obviously, it might be worth kind of keeping an eye on the intersection at Brandon and Second there, like, because it's not a four-way stop. Everybody assumes it's a four-way stop, so all of those people who are detouring around are going to be blowing through it and
Yes.
running into each other, and it's not.
I wish they'd give you guys, I wish they would,
I'm sure that there was somebody that got information some time ago, but yeah.
just remember the cost benefit analysis of what's going on here, okay, just remember.
Going to get a new street.
We're going to get a great paid 99. We just have to suffer a little bit to get it done, okay? Patience, patience, patience. And the other quick thing to remember is the best solution to anger is patience. Okay, any other last minute things? I do have one little tidbit I wanted to let you guys know about. I was gonna send a picture of this to Spencer. North Knox and Fourth. You know that little street that comes up from the theater, hook on Fourth, you drive up, right there, that's there's a truck that parks right at the intersection, right there. And it's one of those big van types.
Oh, like the Sprinter van
Tall,
thing we talked about.
tall.
One right here.
Yeah, right there. He backs up all the way to it starts there and parks there. That is a little problem because unlike the other street that has my other beef, you know, the third, this one, Fourth, is a busy street because all the traffic comes through the park, right? And he parks there, so you can't see well, so you have to pull out all the way into the intersection to be able to make that sharp turn, as you know, those are very narrow lanes.
When we talked about this before, were we talking about Third and not Fourth, about extending the painting?
Well, we were talking about Third because Third has those people who park their big trucks right there, so when you're going down, you can't see, but of course, Third isn't got a very heavy traffic flow at this point in time. Fourth does. I'll send Spencer a picture and we can discuss it next month. I really think that there should be yellow painted, that it doesn't go very, I grant it, there doesn't stretch it very far. But you've got to have some sight here to make a right-hand turn that way.
Sorry, I got pulled out real quick, but I do have an open work order right now for painting all of the corners at these intersections.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, so we had talked about that, and that is on
On his.
on the
Bless your heart.
file for painting right now.
Yes, bless your heart. I just thought I'd bring it up because I've stopped the one on Third complaint, Fourth, Third complaining, but this one is a heavy traffic flow. And it's not a good idea. All right, any other issues? One, next month, folks, we have to have an election of officers. Okay,
Question about that.
yes.
Are you willing to stay on until such time as you move out of Canby, or you really just want to be like, get somebody else in here?
No, I am nuts. I really am crazy about this committee and all of you. So I will stay on. I just think that we need to get a new chairperson. So that if there's any questions, or we can kind of talk about it beforehand. Because I mean, my wife and I are gonna place that house on the market in March at the latest, late April. And so, you know, baby's coming in 3 weeks, so we're gonna be busy. So I regret, but yeah, I'll stay on until I wanna cause more trouble. Okay, next month, we gotta deal with that issue, okay?
Yes.
All righty,
And
thank you.
Jerry just pulled me out because he wanted me to officially tell everybody, he officially just got word from ODOT that 10/31 of 24, they will be done with 99.
Bless you.
Halloween,
Oh,
We'll see,
yay.
but that's the official word, so you can spread that because that was officially. from
Yeah.
ODOT.
and also, the thing is, we need to check. Put our list, I gotta check with you guys. Ooh, I forgot the name of the person who's in charge of the Ninth Bridge.
The county. I don't know when they're starting that now.
Yeah, you know, that was delayed, right? And that is gonna be another huge nightmare, right? If they close down Night Bridge for
Supposed to be
3 to
2 years
6 months,
Yeah.
right? 3 to 6 months.
But last time we talked about it, it looked like it might be into the fall that they're doing it.
Originally, this was
2 years ago.
last year, 2 years ago, they said maybe fall of 24, so it might be right at the tail end of the 99. And Ivy, South Ivy project with the curbs and sidewalks, all of that is still tentatively scheduled to start in April, so.
This April?
Yes,
Sorry.
There are,
yes, so every major road is going to be tore up at one point in time, so traffic on all of these side streets. I think that we're just going to have a whole bunch of citizens coming in and complaining about increased traffic and speed, because all of the normal main roads are going to be tied up.
just remember, Night Bridge is traffic of roughly 3 to 4,000 cars on a daily basis use Night Bridge. So if it's not available, that's all those cars are gonna be on 99.
Or on all the streets to get around.
Well, you can't get to the other streets around. There's only 2 access to this place. I mean, Night
Night Bridge or 99.
Well,
99,
they'll
so-
take 99 and then they'll take the streets that go
Right,
north to Night.
but I
Square,
mean,
so
you know,
they're not
it's
busy.
just, it's gonna be chaos. So we gotta organize the chaos.
As best we can.
Yeah. Bless your guys' hearts. Thank you, folks.
Thank you so much.
Keep smiling.
Thanks so much, guys.
Make a motion to adjourn.
And thanks for.
Motion adjourned.
Thanks for putting it. I don't know why I got it in my brain.